Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. You know, when it comes to creating a certain class for character builds, arguably the most popular one has to be the Paladin. Holy Knights dedicated to rooting out evil and protecting the vulnerable while wearing magnificent armor sets and specializing in melee and magic are always fun to play with, especially with their simple and direct approach for role-playing in Skyrim. While the Paladin isn't part of the class system in the Elder Scrolls games, other classes are well suited for its types of skills. Crusaders are usually the best fit thanks to its major skills in restoration and heavy armor, while also wielding a mace. Spell swords and battle mages can inherit Paladin skills by fighting against evil with their versatile skill set, and knights who conduct themselves with honor and dignity while using illusion skills to support others. In fact, knights across Tamriel have dedicated themselves to serving members of the Divines, like the Mara Knights, the Militant Arma Mara, and the Order of the Hour for Akatosh. Of course, in Skyrim, the Dawnguard and Vigilant of Stendarr are the only factions when it comes to utilizing Paladin-type skills, but their arsenal are quite limited in the base game. So in this video, we'll be looking at mods that not only expands on the Paladin skills, but they include roleplay, quests, and armors, which features some of the best mods Skyrim has to offer. Starting off with roleplaying mods, we begin with Wintersun. Even though I mentioned this mod a number of times in other videos, since it's one of my personal favorites, it literally is a must-have for role players, especially for paladins. With Wintersun, there are multiple deities to follow, including the 8 divines, or 9 depending on your viewpoint. For the paladin class, Arcanum and Stendarr are the obvious choices, since both are dedicated to slaying evil, helping others, and conducting themselves in a lawful manner. Like with all deities from the mod, you're granted favor with the chosen one, and after reaching devotee status, you are awarded with another ability that can be useful in combat. Other than the divines, there are also deities from the elven pantheon, like Ariel, where your character is expected to save Tamriel by fulfilling their destiny. You can also worship from selected historical figures, like Saint Elisa, where upon praying you can choose one of the divine blessings to be active. Meridia, although a Daedric prince, is beneficial for those dedicated to slaying the undead, and has one of the most powerful abilities in Supreme Light. Or if you really despise the Daedra, then there's the Hiss, though only for the Argonian race. But there's also Ebnar, the god of war, and is known to be the enemy of all Daedric princes. For a more vanilla style overhaul of the religion system, there's Patron gods of Skyrim, which simply grants an additional buff when worshipping the selected deity. Like Wintersun, you can only select one god at a time, and either Stendarr or Arcane are the obvious choices, since they do more damage against the undead and other abominations. The mod includes a new role space called Blackfall Temple, located near the Guardian Stones, and inside is where all the shrines are located. Other than worshipping the gods, another role-playing mod centers around the Daedric quest, where instead of obtaining the artifacts, you can either banish them back to oblivion or prevent the Daedric princes from carrying out their will. Epic Restoration offers a new and immersive way to roleplay as a paladin by performing good actions, and in doing so will obtain some new abilities. To obtain these bonuses, you use a spell called Renounce, which when casted during an active Daedric quest will banish the quest item, and depending on when you do so, you can obtain some new rewards. However, doing so in front of the Daedric worshippers will turn them hostile, and you end up fighting against them. Another new spell called Hear Prayer grants a new quest after casting it, and these quests are often helping out others in dire need. Like Renounce, completing these through good behavior also grants bonuses and are perfect for roleplaying.
Divines preserve you. You're a hero.
Other than being the champion of justice, paladins are also well known to be wearing high quality armor sets, often termed nice and shiny armor, while carrying weapons specialized against fighting evil. The Breton Paladin mod is a noteworthy high-quality armor and weapons set that also features custom enchantments suited for a Paladin playstyle. Inspired by Oblivion's Night of the Nine DLC, the mod features 3 different color variants of the armor and 2 different helms. The armors come in either light or heavy variants, and an unenchanted version is available through crafting after completing a lore-friendly quest. The weapons include the mace Light of Day, a warhammer fittingly named Skullcrusher, and the legendary Paladin sword Chrysamere. Like the armor sets, unenchanted versions can also be crafted after completing the quest, and the weapons can either be in two-handed or one-handed form. Some of the unique enchantments include adding touch spells from the gauntlets that either heal allies or damage the undead. The chest piece grants a power that summons a divine guardian to fight at your side until he's defeated, and with Chrysamere, blocking creates a magic ward to fend off spells, while also raising your health and magic resistance. Another armor mod inspired from the Knights of the Nine DLC is the Stendarr Paladin set, which is featured from the Unplayable Factions mod or as a standalone. Like the Breton Paladin, it's another high quality set that fits perfectly into the world of Skyrim, and the standalone version also has custom enchantments suited for a Paladin playstyle. In the Unplayable Faction version, certain NPCs can be seen wearing the armor piece, and the mod also redesigns the Vigilant of Stendarr in a similar fashion. Continuing with the Knight in Shiny Armor theme, there's the Resplendent Armor and Greatsword. Although this mod is inspired from the Dark Souls series, it's quite fitting for a Knight-type character in the world of Skyrim, not to mention the Greatsword. The armor set comes in both enchanted and unenchanted versions, featuring 5 different types for the chest piece. For aesthetic reasons, I prefer the one with the white banner, since it matches perfectly with the restoration spells, especially with the modded versions which you get to see shortly. Lastly, there's the King Crusader set, which may look more sinister than the previous armors, but can be worn by any individual who shows no mercy against evil abominations. Although its design seems fitting for a cleric or priest type character, no doubt it's another high quality armor piece, and one of my personal favorites since I use it for my Divine Battlelord build. The mod author also designed weapons to match the armor set, which includes swords and greatswords from the blade set with their own unique enchantments, a battle axe and warhammer from the heavy set, and a shield from the shadow buckler set, again with his own enchantments. Magic is another notable skill for paladins, especially when it comes to restoration, where spells can be used for both offensive and defensive capabilities. While Skyrim's restoration spells are quite effective, the next 2 mods bring another dimension on how the spells are implemented while also providing some new and interesting playstyles. Forgotten Magic Redone includes 5 standard spells for paladins, and when using them you gain experience points that can level up the spell and acquire new abilities for them. The Divine Armor spell grants magic resistance, but when upgraded you can include additional buffs like increased armor rating, health regeneration, and physical damage. Divine Light starts off as a basic healing spell, but its upgrades include restoring more health and applying magic and physical resistances for a short time period. Holy Bolt acts as a two-way spell that damages enemy targets and can be used to heal allies. And there's the 2 conjuration spells, Hammer of Justice, which summons a holy mace to be wielded, and Blessed Weapon, a divine battle axe that fights for you. Both of their upgrades can do more damage against the undead and Daedra, as well as benefiting from perks in the conjuration skill tree. Other than upgrading the spells, they can also provide synergy with each other depending on the perks. For example, Holy Bolt has an upgrade called Divine Avenger that does quite a bit of damage against the target, but it will result in a cooldown before you can apply the same amount of damage. However, the Faithful Avenger perk from Hammer of Justice neglects the cooldown after killing an enemy with a mace, so you can use Holy Bolt right away on the next enemy. Other upgrades can stack with each other, like both Divine Light and Divine Armor can upgrade your armor rating for a short time period, or having Blessed Weapon and Divine Armor active at the same time to increase your health regeneration. So not only are these abilities very helpful, you don't have to heavily rely on crafting skills to get the same benefits. The other spell mod is Arcanum, which features hundreds of new spells designed for unique gameplay along with some high quality visual effects. Although I do have mixed feelings about this spell mod, since they seem quite out of place in Skyrim, I do like the restoration spells, and there's quite a bit that's perfect for paladins. Some standard ones include Light of Day, which creates a candlelight type of spell that decreases physical damage from the undead in its vicinity, and Funerary Rite, which consecrates the dead and in doing so decreases restoration spell costs for a certain time period, a perfect spell for roleplayers. There's also spells that act both offensively and defensively, like Consecrated Blade, which enchants your weapon with Holy Fire, dealing more damage against the undead while also increasing your health regeneration when active. And Warstorm Warp, behaving like a normal wold spell, but damages enemies within melee range. Other spells like Reckoning and Anima Blast can simultaneously damage enemies or heal allies, which is helpful for those that have issues hitting your followers by accident. Hey, we've all been there, right? Then there's spells like Adric Wind and Rainbow Connection, which are some of my favorites. If you and an ally are fighting within a certain radius, you're granted extra buffs like more damage against enemies and extra health regeneration, so that way it feels like both of you are working as a team. It's also perfect when fighting enemies in tight corridors.
Well, I do suppose thanks are in order, so My thanks.
Other than purchasing them from vendors, you can upgrade the spells to a more powerful version, which is done from a special enchanter to create reformulated spell tombs. There's also a hidden dungeon containing enemies and a boss fight for each of the schools of magic, where you can acquire what is probably the most powerful spell out of all the schools. For restoration, the dungeon is near the statue of Meradia, where you end up fighting a lot, and I mean a lot of enemies. Heck, there's probably more enemies here than ESO's clickbait videos. Okay, maybe not that much, but still, you may want to bring some followers for this fight, or at least be at a very high level. Once you defeat the final boss, you get a master level spell called Exalted Armament, which grants a shield for increased armor rating and magic resistance. The shield can only last for 6 hits, but if it's not broken after a certain time period, then you're granted 6 holy swords that can attack from long range when swinging your weapon. I'm not gonna lie, this literally looks like something straight out of the Final Fantasy series, but the visuals look amazing and the swords are pretty damn powerful. No doubt when doing a Paladin playthrough in Skyrim, you're required to complete the Dawnguard questline, along with a number of side quests, so Fort Dawnguard will be your base of operations. However, in vanilla Skyrim, the fort looks empty, blank, and unprotected, but all that changes with Immersive Fort Dawnguard. This mod overhauls the fort, providing extra fortifications, expanding on the fort with extra towers, new interior locations like a chapel for Stendarr, and adds additional NPCs as guards and patrols. The main feature of this mod is how it changes while progressing through the Dawnguard questline. You will notice during your first visit that some of the new areas appear empty and are inaccessible, but will eventually be filled with more objects, like enchanting tables in the towers and food and alchemy ingredients in the greenhouses. Towards the end of the questline, you also have your own bed with mannequins and racks to display your own weapons and gear. Another add-on for the Dawnguard DLC is Dawnguard Arsenal, a mod that expands the small weaponry from its members to a more complete set, and includes new weapons, swords, greatswords, daggers, battle axes, and battle hammers, which all match perfectly with the Dawnguard gear. Like the other Dawnguard weapons, these do more damage against the undead, and there are elite versions that improves upon the base damage. Dawnguard Arsenal also adds new sun spells that fit perfectly into the world of Skyrim. You have Meradia's Rune that acts as your typical rune spell, Holy Ground, an expert level spell which blesses the ground and damages any undead foe when walking on it, and Gaze of Arcade, a master level spell that unleashes a torrent of sun damage that not only damages the undead but also causes them to flee in terror. In my opinion, both Immersive Fort Dawnguard and Dawnguard Arsenal are must-have add-ons to the Dawnguard DLC, and adding them both to your lore order makes it a better experience from doing the questline. For player homes, there's Reverent Grotto, which features a church or chapel type home in its own world space. To access the area, a spell tomb can be found near the divine shrines in the Temple of Solitude, and will display a portal after casting it. The home pretty much has everything you need, including all 3 crafting stations and a general storage feature to store all your items in their proper categories. A neat little feature inside the home are these crystal beacons, labeled for each divine, and activating one of them will place a shrine on an altar, which can be changed for your convenience. Depending on which shrine is chosen, you may also see some statues inside your home or in the outdoor area. While a small home, having an access through a spell is quite convenient, especially for paladins who spend most of their time on the road or exploring dungeons. And finally, we'll finish off with quests, beginning with a classic that offers a new way to roleplay as a paladin. Agent of Righteous Might involves joining a new faction dedicated to Stendarr, where instead of fighting enemies head-on, you use infiltration techniques to bring down an opposing group. The backstory of this new faction really stands out, as its leader thought waging open war against the Daedra and his worshippers only resulted in more casualties, and decided to come up with alternative methods. During the quest, you get to experience this new method, as it involves joining the remnants of the Mythic Dawn as an undercover agent to bring down the cult aligned with Mehrunes Dagon, the Digit Prince of Destruction. The quest is separated into different chapters, where most of them take place in New World areas, and also features some custom voice acting.
O Lord Dagon, Father of Destruction, Prince of Deadlands, we have gathered on this place to offer the blood of your enemy.
While the mod is quite old, it still holds up in today's standards, and evolves a new interesting method for Paladin playthrough. However, when it comes to quest mods, the next one is a must-have. Vigilant, arguably Skyrim's greatest quest mod. Vigilant features everything you need from a deal-sized quest: deep storytelling, great voice acting, tons of items to collect, new areas to explore, and epic boss battles with an amazing soundtrack. And yes, on the surface it may look like a Dark Souls clone, especially with its heavy emphasis on the David vs. Goliath type boss battles. The storytelling is what really stands out, since it uses historical references from the Elder Scrolls universe that all revolve around the Daedric Prince Moloch Ball, including his origins and how he created the very first vampire. The quest begins by joining the Vigilance of Stendarr in its newly formed headquarters, and as you complete miscellaneous objectives, you notice something bigger is at hand. Something that can affect the entire universe and all its inhabitants, but is ultimately your character to decide its fate. As you progress through the storyline, you need to perform certain actions that play an integral part, and if doing so correctly, you can prevent Moloch Ball from achieving his goal. If not, the end result can be a gut-wrenching experience.
I hope you keep this spirit, even when dying, mortal. Now, scream for me! Beg for mercy!
Besides the main quest, there's also plenty of side content, including battle missions to hunt down vampires and other abominations, collect and safeguard artifacts, and a custom skill tree, but only for special edition users. There's also an epilogue, where its story ties into the mod author's other quest mods, Glenmortal and Onslaught, as all three establish some outstanding world building. I really don't need to say any more other in terms of how great Vigilant is, since it's right up there with Legacy of the Dragonborn and Inigo as one of Skyrim's greatest mods of all time. And it's definitely everyone should at least try once, especially for a Paladin playthrough. If you don't like it, you're dead to me. Well, there you have it, a collection of some of Skyrim's most finest mods tailored for Paladins that really show off just how far Skyrim modding has come in the past 10 years. Not to mention all the work was created to establish them. So if you enjoy any of these mods, don't forget to leave an endorsement to show off your appreciation of the mod author's work. And as always, all links to the mods will be in the description, along with some recommended ones and character builds. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.